Most students will lose 5 points on a problem like this because they're too good at chemistry. These are going to undergo an SN2 reaction mechanism. This is in the R configuration. In what configuration will the product be? If you said S, you just fell into the ultimate SN2 chirality trap. First, let's prove to ourselves that this really is R. Let's start by sorting out our priorities. This is the carbon that's going to be the center of our reaction. We have to look at the atomic numbers of the atoms bonded directly to it. Highest atomic number, and therefore first priority, is bromine. We need a tiebreaker between the two carbons, so we look at what else is bonded to them. Carbon bonded to another carbon is priority 2, because that's higher priority than a carbon attached to only hydrogen, so this is 3. And by the way, deuterium is an isotope of hydrogen. That's also called hydrogen 2. And then, to assign R or S, thumbs up, wrists out, thumbs in the direction of that lowest priority group. When we rotate our wrists inward, which hand is rotating in the 1, 2, and 3 direction? With my left hand would be rotating in the 3, 2, 1 direction, so it's not S. My right hand is rotating in the 1, 2, and 3 direction, and right hand means that this is in the R configuration. So now let's look at this nucleophile. But wait, isn't a hydride too strong of a base to be a good nucleophile? And don't these 3 ethyl groups make it too bulky to actually undergo an SN2 reaction? Well, normally, yes, but this is Super-Hydride. And you don't have to take my word for it, but you should take the word of Herbert C. Brown, who won the 1979 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. He showed that lithium triethylborohydride, our nucleophile, is an exceptionally powerful nucleophile, and that it undergoes second-order kinetics characteristic of SN2. Let's look at the molecular models. This nucleophile absolutely is big and bulky, but look at the geometry of it. We have these 3 giant ethyl groups in black and yellow, but they're all kind of on the back side, and I'm basically just using them as a handle. This is our boron, and our hydrogen that's actually going to undergo the reaction is in purple. Notice that it's kind of sticking out to the side like a precision tip. So when we look at our other molecule, I'm holding carbon 2 with carbon 1 at the bottom, bromine is in green, deuterium is in blue. We absolutely can hit the back side of carbon 2 without too much steric hindrance. Let's work on the mechanism. So SN2 is a concerted, that means one-step reaction mechanism, where the nucleophile attacks the backside of the carbon bearing the leaving group. So this is a hydride with the IDE ending. That means the electrons are coming with the hydrogen. But when the electrons from this boron-hydrogen bond attack the backside of this carbon, that boron-hydrogen bond breaks, and a new bond is going to be just starting to form between the hydride and the carbon. Carbon cannot have more than 4 bonds. So if this bond starts to form, another bond has to break. And the bond that breaks is the bond to the leaving group. In other words, the most electronegative group. So these 2 electrons are going to go entirely to the bromine. Let's draw our product. There was absolutely nothing special about this SN2 reaction mechanism. It was a normal backside attack. There was normal steric inversion. What that means is that the 3 groups that stayed attached to this carbon the entire time flipped inside out like an umbrella in the wind. When the hydrogen formed its bond with carbon and the bromine broke off, these 3 groups were pointing kind of towards the left, and they flipped to the right. That still happened just as expected. So the question is this R or S? Let's sort out our priorities. Highest priority would be the carbon attached to other carbons. Second place is the carbon attached to hydrogens. We need a tiebreaker here. They are both hydrogens. A heavier isotope is going to be higher priority. That means this deuterium is priority 3, hydrogen is 4. So, thumb of my right hand pointing in the direction of lowest priority. When I rotate my wrist inward, that would be 1 at the top, 2 in the back, 3 in the front. This worked with my right hand, that makes this R. The issue here was that we lost a priority group 1 and we gained a priority group 4. Whenever they are not in the same place in priority order, you should reevaluate R and S to see whether or not it flipped. Now you saw me assigning R and S by rotating my hands and not rotating the molecules. I can teach you how to do that in 6 minutes, and it will save you 10 minutes on every future organic chemistry exam.